What if I told you that those mornings when you said coffee is enough are silently leaving damage inside your body? You don't eat much in the morning, or you don't feel hungry, or you've convinced yourself that skipping breakfast is actually good for you. It helps you lose weight, your body doesn't need it, you can make it to lunch. Maybe just a coffee will do. Millions of people skip breakfast every day, and most of them have no idea what's happening inside their bodies during those early morning hours. Because here's the thing, when you wake up, your body has already been fasting for 7, 8, sometimes 10 hours. Your blood sugar is at its lowest point of the day. Your brain, unable to store its own fuel, is running near empty. And the decisions you make in the next 30 minutes will determine how your body and mind perform for the rest of the day. Welcome to 5 Minute Health. In just 5 minutes, you'll learn simple health insights that can improve your life. No long explanations, only useful things. If you find value here, subscribe for more. Let's continue. Let's look at what skipping breakfast does to your brain. Your brain runs almost entirely on glucose. After an overnight fast, blood sugar drops. When you eat breakfast, you replenish that glucose, giving your brain the fuel it needs to think clearly, concentrate, and regulate your emotions. When you skip it, your brain operates with a slight energy deficit. Studies consistently show that people who skip breakfast perform worse on memory tests, have slower reaction times, and report lower mood scores in the hours that follow. This is not a willpower issue, it is a fuel issue. Then there is cortisol. Your body naturally produces a cortisol spike in the early morning, a mechanism designed to mobilize energy and get you moving. This is called the cortisol awakening response. When you skip breakfast, that cortisol spike has no nutritional counterpart to work with. Cortisol levels remain elevated for longer, contributing to increased stress perception, heightened anxiety, and in some people, difficulty concentrating or irritability throughout the morning. Your metabolism is also affected. There is a common belief that skipping breakfast speeds up metabolism or helps burn fat. But research tells a more complex story. When your body goes without food for a long period after waking, it may enter a mild conservation mode, slowing metabolic rates slightly and increasing the likelihood of compensatory overeating later in the day. Studies show that people who skip breakfast tend to consume significantly more calories at lunch and through the afternoon, often choosing higher fat and higher sugar foods driven by intensified hunger signals. We could call this a psychological desire for satiety. The effect on blood sugar regulation is particularly significant for people at risk of metabolic conditions. Skipping breakfast has been associated with greater blood sugar spikes after later meals, a pattern called impaired glucose tolerance. Over time, repeated exposure to these spikes stresses the pancreas and contributes to insulin resistance. This is one reason multiple large-scale studies have linked habitual breakfast skipping to a meaningfully higher risk of type 2 diabetes. Heart health is also implicated. Research published in major cardiovascular journals has found associations between regularly skipping breakfast and increased risk of hypertension, elevated LDL cholesterol, and cardiovascular disease. Chronic morning cortisol elevation, irregular meal timing, and compensatory dietary patterns all appear to play a role. Now, does this mean everyone must eat breakfast? Not necessarily. Individual responses vary. Intermittent fasting protocols that delay the eating window have shown benefits for some people in specific contexts. The key distinction is between deliberately structured fasting and habitual breakfast skipping driven by rushing, stress, or poor sleep. What you eat for breakfast matters as much as whether you eat. A breakfast rich in protein and fiber stabilizes blood sugar, sustains cognitive performance, and moderates hunger through the day. A breakfast heavy in refined sugar spikes and crashes blood glucose just as dramatically as skipping entirely. Your morning meal is not just about calories, it is a signal, a message you send to every system in your body about how the day will unfold. Have you noticed a difference in how you feel or perform on days when you eat breakfast versus days when you don't? Because what you skip in the morning doesn't disappear, it returns later as stronger cravings and weaker control, And by then, your body isn't choosing what's best, it's reacting to what it's missing.